Hello. Um, we are our first myth is that we decided for our Psychbuster assignment is a 10% myth. This is one of the most widespread psychological myths, and it is the idea that we use only 10% of our brain power. Though the origin is unclear, it is believed that this myth stems from an article written by the pioneering psychologist William James, who is considered the father of functionalism, in a 1907 edition of Science Journal. In this article, James writes that we are making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources. Another possible origin stems from the widespread information from scientists that the brain contains 100 billion neurons that make up 10% of the brain's cells. Early scientists also argued that there must be inactive parts of the brain because some people experience brain injuries and continue to function, such as the famous case of Gage. The reason that this myth has persisted is likely because of its intuitive appeal to it. People would like to believe that we have untapped potential within ourselves. Pop culture has also played a massive role in the perpetuation of this myth, such as the 2014 film Lucy, which follows a woman who is implanted with a drug that allows her to tap in with the supposed 90% of unused brain power that we have, giving her superhuman abilities. The first psychological term associated with this myth is the illusory truth effect. This is the idea that repeated exposure to a statement will make it sound true. Various studies have shown that repetition increases belief and may also strongly compel people to share repeated information with others. Confirmation bias is a tendency to favor information that confirms our beliefs rather than challenging them. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt in response to damage and experience. When an area of the brain is damaged, other parts will begin to compensate for the missing function. This may explain why it was once believed that there was dormant or unused areas of the brain. Neuroimaging is medical imaging that visualizes the structure function of the brain, such as PET scans and fMRI, which have been used to debunk this myth. This claim has been widely spread in movies, books, and even motivational talks by neuroscience strongly disagrees. Modern brain imaging techniques like fMRI and PET scans show that almost every part of the brain is active at different times. Whether we're talking, solving problems, moving, or even sleeping, the brain is constantly working. Some people think this myth came from misunderstanding of early research quotes from psychologists like William James, but in reality, every part of the brain has a function, and even small areas, if damaged, can cause major problems. For example, injury to Broca's area can affect speech, and damage to the hippocampus can hurt memory. That means those areas just sitting there unused. Neuroscientists like Barry Beenstein and researchers in cognitive neuroscience have confirmed that 10% myth simply isn't true. Our brains are highly efficient and interconnected, and we use all of it, just not all at once. So, in conclusion, the claim that we only use 10% of our brain is completely busted. Science proves we use all parts of our brain depending on what we're doing. There exists a psychological assumption that by giving a young baby lots of extra stimulation, mobiles, and musical toys, we can markedly increase its intelligence. Traditional toys now have advanced to include other senses to help with this. An example is that a stuffed toy or toy lion now roars. The origin of the theory dates back to ancient Greek. They created more memorable pieces of artwork placed to show to their audience. This became more famously known and used in toys and teaching in the 19th century. This is rooted in the multisensory theory that explains that humans can learn better when multiple senses, such as visual, auditory, tactile, olfactory, are stimulated. It suggests that by involving multiple senses, children can retain information much longer. The earliest example is the Orton Gillingham method from the 1930s, where they used multiple senses to teach spelling. Cognitive development theory explains that children think and reason develop over time. Children during the ages 0 to 2 use only their senses to learn about objects. The growing belief that more stimulation a baby gets through musical, mobiles, high-tech gadgets, and other stimulation toys, the smarter they will become has been shown to oversimplify. Babies' intelligence and real brain development come from things like human interaction and everyday experience. However, young babies that are given extra stimulation have more important opportunities to learn a skill and enhance motor skills. Receiving extra motor stimulation during early infancy may accelerate brain development of dorsal stream functions. This claim is supported by this first study that was done to determine infants' cortical activity in response to visual motion. Findings of the study included that extra-stimulated infants started crawling earlier and displayed significantly shorter end-to latencies in response to visual motion than their full-term preterm peers. The next study that was done concluded that giving low birth weight infant extra stimulation through handling improved their development through 6-month correction. In conclusion, this claim is slightly plausible. It is more complicated than increasing their intelligence. Children did tend to learn certain motor skills than their peers and develop fairly well despite how birth weight due to assimilation. However, we cannot conclude this to be connected to intelligence, and thus the myth is slightly plausible. Thank you.